Skylar Deleon is one of the most haunting figures I've ever interviewed. He was calm.
Welcome to a tale of deception, murder, and a descent into darkness that started with a child actor from the childhood innocence of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and ending with an evil that would take the lives of a devoted couple for a bizarre cause. This is the strange and cruel story of Skylar Deleon. Skylar Deleon, born John Jacobson Jr., began life with a harsh start due to neglectful parenting, setting his course to a dark fate from the beginning. His life spiraled from fleeting fame to notorious infamy, culminating in one of the most callous yacht murders in history.
It takes time to be good at anything. You just have to be patient.
But Rita has thought that such unthinkable evil could flourish from such an innocent-looking boy. Born in Sun Valley, California, Skylar's early life was far from the colorful world of superheroes. He was raised in an abusive home by a drug-dealing father who subjected him to physical violence and sexual exploitation. This tragic background set the stage for Skylar's role as a criminal and calculating.
Roger, I'm really sorry about all this. I mean, everybody tried so hard.
Ernie, why don't you just give the kids a second chance?
Hey, if it was up to me, I'd give everybody who didn't make the team a second chance. The kids deserve it.
Skylar was born John Julius Jacobson Jr. Jeez, say that 5 times fast. On August 12, 1979 in Sun Valley, California. His parents, Lynette and John Sr., were a young couple with anything but a stable relationship. John Sr., or Big Johnny as he was known, was a convicted drug dealer who had not only dragged 16-year-old Lynette into a world of chaos, but also got her hooked on drugs. When Lynette found out she was pregnant, she tried to get an abortion, but Big Johnny wouldn't let her. That had nothing to do with him wanting to be a father, he just wanted to be in control. If anything, John Sr. seemed to hate his son, just like everyone else around him. When John Jr. was in diapers, his father would beat him with a wooden spoon so hard that the spoon would break. When he was a toddler, his father regularly strangled the boy and slapped him across the face. Outside of violence, John Jr.'s entire childhood revolved around drugs. His father dealt while his mother used. She stopped doing drugs for a while when she found out she was pregnant, but after breastfeeding for a couple of months, she switched to a diet of cocaine and not much else. Big Johnny used the drugs and the violence to take complete control over his wife. Whenever she thought of leaving, he'd give her a hit or remind her that she'd be cut off from her supply if she ever left. When Big Johnny started consuming more drugs than he could pay for, he offered his wife as a payment method by forcing her to have threesomes and orgies with his suppliers. When that wasn't enough, John Sr. began manufacturing meth to sell to Colombian drug dealers and biker gangs. It was only when John Jr. started school that his mother Lynette decided it was time for them to leave Big Johnny for good. She was in the process of getting a restraining order when Johnny found where she was staying and strangled and stabbed her. She managed to break free and fled down the street carrying her child. John Sr. was eventually arrested, but he was given bail and released back home. Lynette was left with nowhere to go. Either she stayed with John and he kept beating her until he killed her, or she left and he tracked her down and killed her anyway. In the end, she decided to leave John Jr. behind and try the legal route to get custody of him. But John Sr. was ready to play that game too. He hired a lawyer who painted Lynette as a drug addict and unfit to be a mother. Eventually, she was given weekend visitation, but Big Johnny hardly let her see their child, and she was too scared of what he would do to her if she went back to court to fight for custody. In the end, the only time Lynette got to see John Jr. was when his father was busy on a drug run or with the various women he had relationships with. When she did see her son, he always had bruises and injuries from where his father had beaten him. There seemed to be no end to the level of pain Big Johnny would inflict on his son. When John Jr. began biting his nails, his father shoved toothpicks between the nail and the soft flesh underneath. When he caught his son biting his nails again, he would bite down on the toothpick in order to cause excruciating pain. John Jr. wasn't allowed to cry or react to the pain, otherwise he'd get beaten as well. Life for John Jr. was about as bad as it could get, but his father still managed to find a way to make it even worse. At around the age of 7 or 8, John's father began forcing him to sleep in his bed so he could molest him. He was also made to go over to the neighbor's house and get dressed up as a woman so the old man could take photos. John Jr. told his mother about the abuse, and she tried to stop them from having any contact, but she was no match for Big Johnny's violence. Big Johnny's girlfriends all seemed to know about the abuse, but none of them did anything to stop it. John Jr.'s only reprieve from his chaotic life was when his dad was sent to prison for drug trafficking. He was sent to live with Lynette, who had gotten married and was off drugs, but his time with Lynette only lasted a few months. As soon as Big Johnny was out, he demanded his son be returned. When John Jr. was a teenager, his father found a new way to make money off of him, that time through the big screen. Big Johnny enrolled him into an acting class and signed him up with an agency to do commercials for Nintendo, Hyundai, and Buick. At 14 years old, he appeared as an uncredited extra in the television series Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
However, his acting career stalled. He faced significant challenges in completing high school, relying on the assistance of his father's ex-wife, who hired him a tutor. The stress of his home environment and his traumatic past possibly contributed to his struggles with learning and remembering lines.
Here we go.
This ultimately led to the end of his acting career and opening the door to a brief stint in the Marine Corps post high school. After leaving the Marines with an other than honorable discharge, he changed his name to Skylar Deleon, but couldn't hold on to jobs for long. In 2002, like two chemicals never meant to be together, Skylar met his wife and future good girl gone bad, Jennifer Henderson. She was a student at California State University Long Beach, where she played shortstop for the Cal State Long Beach 49ers women's softball team. Aside from being outgoing and athletically inclined, she was ironically described as a devout evangelical churchgoer, which reflected her good upbringing. Before her conviction of first-degree murder, friends and family described her as kind, loving, loyal, naive, religious, trusting, and hardworking. She worked as a hairstylist in Long Beach, California. She met Skylar online. Their relationship progressed quickly after she introduced herself to him via a flirty email in September 2001. She was 21 at the time, and their relationship led to a marriage in September 2002, which would produce 2 children. As Skylar's family grew, so did the financial pressures. Skylar turned to crime, resulting in a conviction for armed burglary in 2002. In 2003, he murdered his partner in crime, John Jarvie. John Jarvie was a man of contrasts marked by both adventure and addiction. Born in 1958 in Anaheim, California, JP was intellectually gifted and adventurous. He earned his pilot's license early in life. His career in aviation was cut short by drug addiction, following surgery, leading to the loss of his license and a return to his family's jewelry business. Despite battling back from addiction, the death of his father in 2002 plunged him into depression, leading him to explore risky financial schemes with Skylar. Tragically, JP's life ended on December 27, 2003, in Ensenada, Mexico, where he was found murdered. His throat had been slit. Dying hard, he had traveled some distance before perishing. JP had been deceived by Skylar, who was a fellow inmate from a brief incarceration. Skylar lured JP under the pretense of a business investment. JP brought $50,000, which he got by cashing out his 50% share of a condo that his parents had purchased. However, Skylar lied about their partnership, so he could ruthlessly kill him for his money. This act by Deleon was not merely violent, but a stark betrayal of trust, ending a life that had oscillated between the heights of potential and the depths of struggle. However, as tragic and cruel as JP's death was, it pales in comparison to the unfathomable and undeserved cruelty endured by the Hawks.
Stay tuned for part 2.